Hi, this is Laura from the Experimental Home, and today I'm going to show you how to make these really cute felt ornaments. Before we get started, you're going to have to bear with me. This is my first time crafting in front of a camera, my first video tutorial. Hopefully it will be informative and not too ridiculously flawed. So I'm just going to go and see how it goes. So we're going to make this particular ornament today with this really pretty embossed felt that I found at Hobby Lobby, as well as this. I also found this sparkly felt, which is really hard to see the sparkles in this light. Apologize for that. And this fun houndstooth felt. So I thought they had to be Christmas ornaments. It was so cute. Anyway, these are actually somewhere between two-dimensional and three-dimensional. They're not spheres, but they're not flat. And they're stitched along the outside in an embroidery stitch called the blanket stitch, not the basket stitch, the blanket stitch, which I'm going to show you how to do. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is print out my handy dandy template. So the link to the printable is below the video. So first thing you want to do is cut out all these templates. So cut out the 2 cutting templates and the 1 stitching template. If you're going to make a whole bunch of these, I also made you a sheet of just stitching templates so you can reuse your cutting templates over and over again. Alright, so first you want to cut out your shapes. As you can see, I just pinned the cutting template to my felt and cut around it. And as you can see, this template has been used quite a few times. And here are my tops. I don't know what I did with my little top template, but I used one. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and take this template off. I had 2 sheets that I laid back to back before cutting, so I have 2 pieces of each shape. So we're going to want to attach our top to our ornament, and we're going to do this with just a dab of hot glue. You can skip this step. It's not necessary. I've made a couple before I started using hot glue. It works just fine. You just have to put an extra pin in it to keep the tops from falling off while you're stitching, which is kind of a pain in the butt. So I go ahead and glue them on there. So yeah, it's pretty simple to do. Just a little dab of hot glue. Don't overdo this. Your stitching is really going to hold this together. This is just to make your life easier. If you put too much glue there, you're going to end up sticking your needle through hot glue, and that will hurt your hand, and we don't want that. So, alright. Just my finger in hot glue. I'm sure you do that too. Alright. So, we're set there, and now we're going to take our little template and put it over the top of it. I've made quite a few of these, as you might be able to tell. I knew exactly how far I needed to put those in. You might want to look before you do it. Alright, so we are going to just pin our template, our stitching template, right to the felt. The reason I like to glue my tops on is because the pin does kind of get in the way. It makes it obviously curve a little bit, and that can make your stitching kind of funny. It's not really that big a deal, but a couple different pins and it gets just a little too crazy. Alright, and then next thing you want is somewhere over here. Embroidery floss, plain old everyday embroidery floss, a needle. I have tied a knot in the end of my embroidery floss. I did this off the camera. I didn't want to try to thread a needle on the camera. I can't imagine how crazy that would be. So we're just going to start stitching. I've been starting stitching at this, can you see that? This hole right here. Oh, what I didn't tell you is in the design of these templates, each little spot along the edge is where you're going to place your stitches. One of the problems I have free embroidering is that my stitches are never even. Use this template, your stitches will be even every time. Easy peasy, no problem. Alright, so here's how you do it. So I want to start at this stitch right here. But for our first stitch, I want to hide the knot. So I'm going to start by going between the 2 pieces of felt and sticking my needle right in, hopefully not missing horribly, through the inside and pulling it through. And you can see the knot there. It's just going to get hidden inside. Nothing to worry about. Alright, so to do the blanket stitch, the first stitch, you're going to push it through and you get a loop. And basically you're going to take your loop and pull it through. That's the stitch. The first one's just a little bit special because we're going to leave it just a teeny bit loose. The last stitch we do is going to pull it tight. But we're going to leave it just a teeny bit loose so we have that extra little bit when we're done. And then what we're going to do is just go around, all the way around the ornament, put your needle through, pull it, and then you're going to take this little loop right here, grab it with your needle, and pull it tight. And then repeat. Your needle through. And pull it tight. Pretty easy, huh? If this is not enough of a tutorial on the basket stitch for you, I am going to link to a great pictorial tutorial below that is not on my website. I don't really have the patience to make that many photos. That's why I'm doing this video style. But go check it out. It's a great tutorial. You'll learn a lot. So I'll do one more stitch for you. Right through the hole. Pull it until you get a little loop. Get under the loop with your needle and pull it tight. One little trick is you want each of your stitches to point towards the middle of your circle. That will keep it looking very even the whole way around. But using this template for the stitches, you really can't go wrong. Alright, so hopefully this is good. I'm going to switch to one that I've gone all the way around just to not make this tutorial way too long. So I'm going to switch to a new ornament. And as you can see, I've gone all the way around the same embossed felt ornament and gotten to just before we get back on the top of the ornament. So what I've been doing is putting the needle through here for this final stitch and leaving it loose. The reason I'm putting it through is if you look at this from the back, there are only 2 stitches that actually go through all 4 pieces of felt. So this is the second one. I just want to make sure that's there before I start taking anything apart. So the next thing I'm going to do is take out the pin. And this I'm doing because it is time to stuff this ornament. So I'm going to stuff it with fiberfill. Hold on, let me get some fiberfill. Alright, fiberfill. And you actually don't need that much. Just a very little bit of fiberfill. And just sort of work your fingers in between your pieces of felt there. Stuff, stuff, stuff. Stuff, stuff, stuff. Just tweaking it around in there, making sure everything's even in there. A little bit more. Stuff, stuff, stuff. Alright, that's plenty full. You can see that wasn't a heck of a lot of fiberfill. And then we're going to just continue on. So for this last stitch, make sure we grab our loop, and hopefully we're going to pull this tight and everything is going to look right. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Alright, and there we are. Now we're going to finish stitching here. The stitch, so it's really nothing different than how I stitched the whole way around. Just loop and pull through. Hold on, let me make sure this is all tight. Alright. Alright, everything's tight. The only trick is at the corner here. We are actually going to do 2 stitches in these 2 corner dots. I should have made them a different color or something, but I didn't do that. 1 stitch, 2 stitch, and this will get it around the corner very nicely. The next trick is that we are going to add a hanger, like this. Ooh, maybe right side up would be better to look at. A hanger to our ornament. And all this is a little loop of embroidery floss with a knot at the top. Alright, so you take this little loop, we're going to stick it right in there between these 2 pieces of felt up here at the top. And we're just going to stitch right through it. So make our loop, and then come back through the loop, or through your hanger, and grab the loop of the stitch, and pull it tight, and then you can just sort of get that out of there, and it's all stitched into it. Then we're going to finish up here. Oops. Look at the camera and I get funky here. Alright, one more stitch in this one. Alright, now how to finish this. It's pretty simple. You're just going to go back in and grab this first stitch you did. Hopefully you can see this. And pull it tight, like I said we were going to do when we started. Alright, and so that's great, but you still have one little problem. You're missing a stitch on the back. So you want to just guess where that's going to be. Go in, and you're just going to do half of it and pull it back between the two pieces of felt. And so it looks just like that start wasn't there. And you're going to just make a tiny knot here. I should have done that before I... Alright, a tiny knot. And then the only trick is to hide the end of your thread. So you're just going to poke it in to the middle of your ornament, not into your finger. That was good, huh? And pull it taut. And then take a pair of scissors and just clip right off the end, and it should pop right back in there. So you're done, except for the fact that your ornament says the experimental home. Now I would love it if you let your tree say the experimental home all year, but that's probably not what you want. So you want to remove the paper. So all I do is very carefully slide my scissors in between the paper and the ornament and just make a little cut. And then go around and just rip right by the stitches, and you should be able to pull little bits of paper out from under the stitches, just like ripping a page out of a notebook. And go ahead and rip all the way around. I'm not going to bother to do it right now. And you will have a gorgeous, adorable felt Christmas ornament to give to your friends and family or hang on your tree. It screams homemade, but is really pretty. Anyway, thanks for joining me for my first video tutorial. I hope I didn't scare you away or make a mess of this or make this impossible to understand. And thank you so much for joining me at the Experimental Home. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I hope to see you back soon. Thanks.